we got a haircut. It looked so cute. Look at this. Thank you, Kelly. Kelly always making my Pinterest hair dreams come true. I am so ready for spring, guys. I'm ready to be refreshed. I feel so much lighter. My hair just grew out and it was time to get it chopped off, and here we are. Also, happy March. Today is literally the first day of March, so we're just doing all the fun solo self-care date things today and this weekend, but mainly I want this to be like a bookish weekend vlog because I have books to talk about. I'm gonna go into the coffee shop now and try and read, but also take some notes from the book I'm reading, which feels so studious, so academic. I had a realization, I think literally last night. I'm currently reading Beloved by Toni Morrison, which has been a highly coveted TBR book for me, and I just have never been in a place where I felt like I could spend the time needed to read this the way I want to read it, like really experience it and soak in the words and the poetry and the literariness, the literature. And it's my first Toni Morrison book and I'm really enjoying it. Obviously, it's a very sad topic. It's about slavery and a former enslaved woman, and how she is just dealing with being now free, but also just dealing with the haunting and the demons of her previous life when she was enslaved. But it's just so beautiful the way Toni Morrison has written the story, and I'm about halfway through, a little less than halfway through. I just had a realization last night. I need to like get a reading journal, so I might go get a reading journal today actually. That would be a fun thing to do as well. I just read so many books where I feel like I don't really need to take notes on them, which would just be a lot of contemporary fiction, a lot of fantasy, and I guess I could take notes on them, but I just never felt the need to write down quotes as I do right now. It's taking me back to college when I would read and had to take a lot of notes, and I took an American literature class, which I loved, and yeah, I think it's just what clicked for me was that I just want to read more literature and study more literature and put my study and writing and quotes and things into a reading journal. So maybe that'll be one of our adventures today, go find a reading journal. But right now I'm gonna go get some coffee. I haven't had any coffee. I had a very early hair appointment, which is fine. I get out and do things. This is my Saturday to myself. And I'm looking cute, I'm looking springy. Vibes are good, vibes are high because we haven't had high vibes in a couple weeks. February was rough. And now I'm just ready for, you know, blossoming, blooming, color, blue skies, sunshine, nature, and some coffee. So let's go have a little coffee shop moment and be bookish. Nature, guys. It's nature. Sheila does nature after a long winter.
This time of the year, I can't stop asking why I'm struggling to stay. It's a mystery why I'm here. I guess I'm just too tired of fighting. Would you say? Ooh, as we're growing older, darling, understand it all. It's me that I'm fighting. Now that I see what is hiding underneath my skin, and I'm always sorry to bring you in my fault.
It's a wee bit later, friends. I have had lunch. George and I ran to the grocery store to get that out of the way. And now we're fully stocked for the week, which feels so nice. And then like tomorrow, what am I gonna do? I have to do laundry. So that'll probably be the main chore for tomorrow, and actually clean around the apartment a little bit because yeah, it needs some cleaning. These are just thoughts in my head as we continue our theme of spring, refresh, reset. But yeah, let's talk about books for a second. I wasn't able to really read at all at the bookstore because I was focused on like filming, and then literally like when I got there, there was like one family there, like it was super quiet, and then I had probably a good 10, 15, maybe 20 minutes of just, you know, nobody else there, but I still didn't feel comfortable filming. I feel like I missed my window because then a bunch of people just came in at 10:30 nonstop until I left. So I was able to get some shots and tried to read a little bit. I did, I think, read a chapter of Beloved and then went back and put in some page markers as I'm trying to mark sections in the book that jump out to me. And I also started, last night I was on Spark Notes, and that is what inspired me to want to get a reading journal so I could write stuff out from my Spark Notes studying and then mark stuff in the pages, and just it all started coming back to me. So I want to go get a reading journal. We're gonna go do that in a second. I think I'm gonna go to Barnes & Noble because I have a gift card that I forgot that I had, and see what they have. I kind of just want a plain journal. I am gonna look at reading journal specific journals to see what they look like, but I don't know, I kind of just want a dotted like regular journal, which I actually have. This one that I bought from Anna Lunick a couple years ago, but I just don't want to use it. I feel like it's just one of those things that I just want to keep it pristine forever because I don't have the heart to write in it because it's beautiful. So I thought about using this as a reading journal, but I also don't think like I'm gonna fill up the pages. Like I want this for something else, maybe more like self-reflection journal or like, you know, wellness type stuff, not reading. So we're on a mission to find a reading journal. So we'll see what we can find at Barnes & Noble. But in the meantime, I wanted to just chat about books that I read during the month of February, which was not a lot at all. In January, I think I read 5 or 6 books, and they were, majority was romantasy, which I can read romantasy books a lot quicker than any other book, really. So that was a really good reading month because I was just lost in fantasy and romance. And going into February, I had the goal, I think, to read 5 to 6 books, which was very lofty considering how the month went, given life things, not having power for a week, and then just being thrown off my routine. So I didn't really read that much this month. I also put books on my TBR for this past month that are not quick to read, or I need to put more intention and thought into reading them. I wanted to read a couple books by Black authors for Black History Month. The first book is not by a Black author. It's actually a fantasy book by Robin Hobb, Ship of Magic, which is book 1 of the Live Ship Traders series. Oh my god, guys, this book, so good, so good. So much adventure and drama and so many different characters, the world building, the magic system. I want to read the second book immediately, but of course there's just so many books that I want to read, it's hard to read them all. And I actually ordered the second one through World of Books, I think, online, like a used book retailer, and I never received it. Like, I've received all the other books that I ordered and that one never came in, and I like emailed customer service and they were like, we ship books out separately, so it might be coming at a different time. But I need to follow up because I did receive one big package of like 5 books, and in my order thing it said that the second book was in that order, but it was not in the bag. And then I also ordered another book that came separately, so like everything but that book came, and it's been over a month, so I'm gonna have to follow up on that, which is just annoying. But I really want to read it next, and it was so long. I think it took me like 3 weeks or a month to get through this because I started it I think at the end of January, and it took me through a good chunk of February. But I loved it. I loved it so much, and I'm definitely enjoying this more than the Farseer trilogy, which was the only other series that I've read by Robin Hobb, and she has so many books, so many series. It's just a never-ending quest for me to read, and that gets me very excited. The next book I started after that was Legendborn by Tracey Deonn, and I still haven't finished it because I started reading 2 books, like multiple books at one time, and that always drags out my timeline for when I finish books, which is why I try to read 1 book at a time so I can like focus on it and finish it, but it just doesn't happen, you know. And that's fine. But I also started my Patreon and started a book club in my Patreon, which is super, super exciting. I've always wanted to, 1, create a Patreon, and 2, host a book club on my Patreon, and we're doing it. This is the year we're doing it. And our first book club pick for February through March is Legendborn. And we're reading this through the end of March. Like, I think the last weekend in March, I'm gonna put up discussion questions so we can chat about this. So if you want to read Legendborn along with myself and a few other cozy people in my Patreon, feel free to check it out and join, because I'm looking for beta testers. I keep saying I'm looking for beta testers, which sounds so weird. But right now I'm beta. My membership tiers, there's just 1 tier and it's for beta testers, and it's just helping me get into the swing of creating content, figuring out what you guys want to see on Patreon versus free content that I could also share on Patreon versus like YouTube content. So I just need some kind of guidance and accountability and community to help me create stuff. So that's why my membership tiers are not fleshed out yet. But it's a great opportunity to join now, get access to all my posts, and it's only $1 a month. So I'm also planning to post more free content on Patreon. So if you're not interested in joining the paid tier, totally understand, but there is a free tier that you can like join, no cost at all. You just have to sign up and have a Patreon account. You can still get notifications when I post stuff. So Patreon promo over. Back to what I was saying. I'm on the last leg of this book. I have 60 pages left, and I've been like forcing myself to not read it because of my book club, because I want to read it along with you guys. But if I finish it now, then I'm not really reading it with you guys. So that's kind of why I stopped reading it. But now I just want to finish it because it's been lingering on my, you know, currently reading. And I feel like, 1, I like finishing books and moving on, but 2, I want to know what happens because it's been a great read. It's been very, very fun. And for a YA, a young adult fantasy, amazing writing and magic system and characters and world building. I'm thoroughly enjoying it. So let me know if you've read this. Oop, I lost my bookmark. I think I was on page 420. Yes, chapter 47. The only other book I actually read during the month of February, in addition to Ship of Magic, is Homegoing by Yaa Gyasi. And this was such a beautiful book, guys. It's quite an old book. Like, it's coming up on like 10 years. I think it was published in 2016, and it's been on my TBR for a couple years and just never felt the call to read it. So I'm really glad I read it this past month because it was such a beautiful story. It's a historical fiction, and it follows 2 different sisters and the trajectories of their lives. Effia and Essie, 2 sisters with 2 very different destinies. One sold into slavery, one a slave trader's wife. The consequences of their fate reverberate through the generations that follow, from the Gold Coast of Africa to the plantations of Mississippi, from the missionary schools of Ghana to the dive bars of Harlem. And I kept going back to the family tree that is in the beginning of the book. And I just love the extra, you know, element to my reading experience because each chapter follows a different member of the original sisters' lines. So we're like skipping generations and we get to see the sisters, they start the story and then they have children, and like we go all the way up through, I think, the 20th century in America. Like, I think the story ends around 2000. I just love that. You guys know I love that as a archivist and somebody that does genealogy work for my job. I just thought it was a beautiful story and touched on all different kinds of elements of slavery, and not even like the American slave trade, but the British slave trade. So yeah, beautiful, beautiful book. I highly recommend it if you have not read it. And yeah, that was it. And now I'm currently reading Beloved, so not a lot of reading going on, but actually a lot of reading is going on. I've been also just trying to tell myself that like reading doesn't mean having to read a million books a month. Like it can also be just spending time intentionally reading, slowly reading, and that's also why I want to read more literature. But it's okay if I want to read a romantasy or something quick and easy to get through, because some books have tough topics and other books are more for like self-care and for me to just escape the world, society, and just my own life. So let me know what you are currently reading or what you read during the month of February, or if any other books you've read so far this year that have really stuck out to you. Going into March, I haven't really created a TBR yet, but I know I'm carrying over books that I've read from February that I didn't get to read. Beloved obviously being one. I want to finish Legendborn this weekend. We'll see how that goes. And I also wanted to read The Heaven and Earth Grocery Store by James McBride. I accidentally ordered the large print copy of it, which when it came out I was like, huh? And then like once I started reading, I'm like, this is weird but like nice for my eyes. I started like reading it and I couldn't really get into it. So maybe that'll be something I read later this year. I don't know if I want to read it in March. We'll see. I go in between having books that I definitely want to read and then like being a mood reader. So it really varies. And I also want to read Kingdom of Claw by Demi Winters, which is book 2 of whatever that series is. I can't think of it right now. The book is in my bedroom, but I'll show you guys an overlay of it. But I loved the first book, The Road of Bones, so much. 5-star read, amazing world building, pace, amazing book for a romantasy, and I'm really excited to see what happens in the second book. So far that's what I want to read in March, but we'll see if that changes. I also completely forgot to mention I want to read this too soon, maybe in March. Good Dirt by Charmaine Wilkerson, who wrote Black Cake, and I really love that book too. And I didn't even know she had a new book coming out. I picked it up from Book of the Month for February, I think. And this book I'm going to be reading some later this year, The House of Fortune by Jessie Burton, which is the second book of the Miniaturist series that you guys know I love if you watch my reading videos. And Water Moon by Samantha Sato Yambao. I really enjoyed I really enjoyed the summary, and I don't really remember what it is right now, but the cover and the back is super pretty as well. A woman inherits a pawn shop where you can sell your regrets and then embarks on a magical journey when a changing young physicist wanders into the shop in this dreamlike and enchanting fantasy novel, and it takes place in Tokyo. It just sounded something different, like magical realism, fantasy, and yeah, it looks really good. I don't know when I'm gonna read this. Maybe April or May. Asian American Pacific Islander month coming up. Also, I didn't get to show you guys my full outfit of the day, but of course the slippers don't, those aren't going outside, but yeah. All right, now I think I'm gonna go out and go to Barnes & Noble and find a reading journal, because you know when you just have things you wanna do and like, if you wait, it's all you think about. I feel like I talked about this in one of my recent vlogs, but yeah, I can't like sit down and relax right now because I know I have things to do. So let's go do that, get out of the way, and then I'm gonna have a very cozy evening reading, studying, because I wanna like start my journal on Beloved and write stuff down and do all that fun stuff. Okay, off we go. weather took a complete 360 from this morning. It is now incredibly windy, 40 degrees. I don't want to be outside anymore, and the sun has gone down, which means it is time to get cozy, friends. And I couldn't decide on a notebook. As always, I'm just indecisive and just thinking through all the what ifs and trying to justify my purchase. So I ended up just buying two that I really loved and justified it because I had a gift card. So I don't know which one I'm gonna use yet. I needed to figure it out. But I first stumbled on this super cute, like green matcha colored dotted notebook. There was a copy I looked through that was out of the plastic, so I got to feel the paper, flip through, it lies flat, so it ticked off all the boxes. But I wasn't sure if I wanted this size. It's on the larger size if we compare it to my B5. Actually, it's about the same size, a little bit smaller than my B5 common planner. I don't know, do we want this kind of size for a reading journal? We'll see. And then I stumbled on a little smaller sized notebook, and this is by the brand Derik, D-E-R-I-K, and it's described as Dewy Morning, which I really was drawn to, but I was especially drawn to because it had dots and lies flat. There was some other versions of different prints that I really liked, but they were either lined or like grid, and I wanted a dot layout. And it also lies flat. That's very important, especially if I'm gonna be studying and having my notebook open. So I don't know, I need to figure out which one I'm gonna use. Also there, I was looking for a birthday gift for my best friend Alicia. Next weekend, I'm going to stay with her and we're going out to a concert for her birthday. And I was just on a mission to get a gift, get it out of the way so I don't have to think about it. And sometimes when you're like on a mission to find something, you can't find anything. And I just feel like as I'm perusing the different displays, nothing was jumping out of me. But then there are times when I go in with no rhyme or reason or anything I'm looking for and I just want to buy everything. I mean, I feel like we all experience that. But I settled on two things. I got this really pretty lined notebook by the same brand. So it's like the same size, same brand, but it's a lined notebook and it has these really pretty tulips on it. It reminds me of like Pennsylvania German, Pennsylvania Dutch, you know, patterns, and I really, really love that. So I think she will like the color and the tulips. And then I wasn't sure what else to get her. And then I found puzzles and I was like, puzzles, yes. Everybody would want a puzzle for a gift, right? And I found this super cute cat puzzle. Like, look at all the cats. And Alicia has 2 cats, so I figured she will enjoy putting this together. And it's only 500 pieces, so it's definitely a manageable puzzle. Yay! This video will be going up after I give it to her. Don't worry, she will have this in her hands before she ever sees it on YouTube, if she decides to watch this video. If you're watching, Alicia, I love you. All right, now I wanna have a little study session. Who are we? George is getting off work in about an hour and we're gonna hang out, make dinner and all that. So I figured it's a perfect time for me to just kind of crack open one of these notebooks and start what I wanted to do for like the past 24 hours, write some notes about my book. So I made a cup of lemon tea to sip on, and I debated if I wanted to go in my room at my desk or just sit out here in the living room. And I think I'm gonna sit out here because my room just feels dark, cold, and the wind is so loud and I can like hear it more prominently in my bedroom than I can out here. And I guess the only reason I wanted to sit at my desk was to have access to all of my like markers and stuff. But I have my pencil case, my book, I just need my phone to look at Spark Notes, and I need to figure out which journal we're gonna use. So many important decisions to be made, friends. Okay, let's dive in.